He gets in there. His interview technique is honed from many years as an officer of the law.
He'll get the pocket out. And is that right?
And beat them with it? Oh, sorry, no, that. Sorry, I see where you were going with that.
He was an upstanding officer, I'll have you know.
He always carries a telephone directory around with him. I don't know why.
The thing is, what I'm struggling to decipher is what was the technical reason for driving down the pit lane and driving straight on through. If there's a technical problem,
yeah, why wouldn't you
you'd like to have a look at the car and maybe investigate it. We might never know. Yeah, very good. I wonder at the next Code 60 if there's going to be other teams that do the same. If we see another car doing the same, we'll know that the game's up, so to speak. There are some personal best times being put down now as the track starts to cool a little bit. Timo Rumpfkehl for Hoffer Racing in their number 11 Mercedes, a 2-minute 0.165. Also the QMMF by HRT of Julian Hanses, a 203.011 personal best for that car throughout the entire race. Had a great little factoid from our fellow commentator Phil Anson, who said the 974 of the QMMF team is because that's the dial code for Qatar, and likewise it's the 971 Rabdon by Fulgenzi, that's the Dubai dial code. Yeah, very good. I like that. Yeah, there's a story on all of the numbers in that category, pretty much. Oh yeah, well the leader at the moment is the Red Camel Jordans, number 909. That's the hill climb car. The Berg Spider was the Type 909. There you go. See? Is that my anorak hung up on that quote? It is. I didn't hear you zip it right the way up there. Too warm for an anorak. Like Kenny. Thank you very much. Now you understand, dear listener and viewer, why I invited Peter Mackay to Ren Sport 7, the celebration of all things Porsche racing. It is fair to say that we nerded out for 3 days on television on that, didn't we? Yes. Yeah, that would be a correct explanation. We were locked in a very, very small commentary box, part of a production truck. Remember how cold it was in the production box? We could have hung meat in there. Our local butcher would have been very happy. Johnson's in High Street, Thrapston. He would have been very, very happy at that. And however, we were kept fed and watered. Very, very good food from Bobby Aitken and the rest of the production crew. And we were fed not only in terms of food and drink, but food for the soul was constant moving pictures of classic Porsches. And Porsche legends, almost a stream of them in and out the commentary box. They come and chat to us as well. Who do we have? We had Hurley Haywood, Derek Bell. Yep. You had Jochen Mass. Yes. Hadn't seen Jackie X. Jackie X. Yeah. Did you do Jack? You did Jackie X. I spoke to Jackie X. That was good. That was a great interview. Yeah, I enjoyed that a lot. Is that them all? No, Brian Redmond. You did Brian Redmond. That was good. I'll let you do Brian. Brian, bless him, he's a great storyteller. The only problem is he broke into a brilliant story right at the start of the 962 race, which was a little bit challenging. But it was just a privilege to meet all these great people, and of course the commitment. Do we have Timo as well? Timo Bernard, I think we did. No, that might have been at Le Mans actually. But Nick Tandy. Oh, Tandy came up, yeah. That's fine. I think he definitely classifies as a Porsche legend. Yeah, we'll have some more Porsche legends in our coverage in 2 weekends' time from the Rolex 24 at Daytona. Already fixing up some special guests for our Global Broadcast Centre, which will move not next weekend, but the middle of the following week, overlooking another start-finish line. Very similar, actually, in terms of the position, except the cars are going in the opposite direction. We look directly down on the stripe at Daytona. We've got Yas Marina coming up before that next weekend. It has cleared up a little bit, and looking downtown at the moment, as we can do, particularly from our drone shots, the original central business district, if you will, the original city centre, with what was the tallest building in the world, the Burj. Not
quite time. We've probably missed its light show for this evening. Over at Festival City, they'll round about 20 minutes time. They'll be there. Weekend fireworks show. They've got a big sound stage there as well in front of the Mall, next to the Intercontinental and the Crown Plaza, overlooking the creek there.
Something has really ruffled the feathers of Loic Hartog. Maybe he's on the radio saying, how dare they suggest that I went down the pit lane to save time. But in the Dynamic GT Porsche, he's taking chunks of time out of Ahmad Al-Harti in the Paragon competition, BMW. Last lap by it to the tune of 3 seconds. So the gap is down to 18.6 seconds. He also took nearly 2 seconds, in fact, just over 2 seconds out of Max Hesse on that previous on the previous lap. And going on this lap by the sector times, Loic Hartog taking even more chunks of time. So by the end of this stint, we could see Hartog and that Dynamic GT Porsche move into the lead. It really has been a battle, Stuttgart versus Munich. It's been Porsche versus BMW all race long, back and forth, cat and mouse. But will we see any other characters coming into the mix? The Optimum McLaren, they're in 6th place. They're just getting closer all the time. They've clearly been paying attention to the Ted Lasso sticker on the coffee machine that just says, believe.
I had Apple TV on an 7-day trial just coming up to Christmas, and managed to binge watch the whole 4 series of Slow Horses, which I...
Oh, it's fantastic.
Thoroughly.
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah, you
didn't get round to Ted Lasso. Did do a little bit of the morning show.
Excellent as well.
Yeah. I'd seen a few of those on various planes, but you know, they only have sort of 2 or 3, and you get hooked into it, and then you get home and look for it. It's not on Apple, and just another subscription.
You need to do it. You need to do it. Ted Lasso's excellent. Morning show's excellent. Yeah, really top quality stuff. 15 hours and 21 minutes left in this race. We've had a fairly eventful, shall we say, 8 hours and 40 minutes of action. In terms of Code 60 interventions so far, we've had 2 hours and 1 minute and 51 seconds to be absolutely precise. 7 Code 60 interventions. So that's around, well, it's not quite 1 hour. So there has been prolonged periods of green flag running, particularly the first stint was completely uninterrupted. And it's just been about who's played those Code 60s just right. Sometimes it's luck, sometimes it's skill, sometimes it's a combination of the two. And one team that are renowned for it is the number 91 Herbert, who that is their trademark, is nailing those Code 60s. And they had an interesting, really cool colour scheme the last 2 years, with the black with gold pinstripes of the Lotuses of the late 70s. I won't say the brand on air because I'll get in trouble. But the 91, they've gone from dark and mysterious to, well, looks like the curtains in Austin Powers' apartment. The 91 Herbert Porsche, it's almost like an art car, actually, in a way. And it's been driven at the moment by Jake Pedersen, a young American driver who unfortunately had a crash earlier in the week, but they managed to get it repaired.
In style, it looks a bit like the hippie Porsche, but there's more colours on it. There's more different colours on it, but that's that kind of psychedelic 1970s type look to it. Before that, there was do you remember the Apple Computers sponsored car?
Yes. Yeah. Bobby Rahal drove that.
That's right.
At that, they retired at Sebring, and Bobby Rahal decided to get an early flight home, and there was no flights, and Sebring Airport there was nothing open, so both Bobby Rahal decided to take a sleep on a bench, and there was somebody else sleeping on the bench beside him. Turned out to be Steve Jobs, who was there, of course, watching the car that
he's been driven.
Sponsoring.
Yeah. Looking very, very shiny, that car, considering that we're 9 and a bit hours into the race. The right-hand side is the side that reminds me of the Apple car, with all the multicolours on, before they went to the logo that is more used. The left-hand side reminds me of the hippie car, because it's got that dark blue and dark green on it. But like I say, it's that kind of psychedelic. The responsible adult had I think it was an Andy Blackmore design hippie car T-shirt that was her favourite, and it literally fell apart. She wore it that much.
The hippie cars, because it was in 1979-17 Longtail, which was actually a Martini car, and Count Rossi was very, very upset with it. It did still have Martini stickers on it, unlike the Pink Pig, which was a Martini car as well, but was not allowed to have any Martini stickers on it.
They just had the Martini, the lines with the Martini logo on the back wings, didn't they? Right at the very back.
The hippie car.
The hippie car.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
Well, and don't forget the Pink Pig was a Martini car as well, but they absolutely said no, and it didn't have all the wording on it until the race. During the practice and qualifying, it had the dotted lines, but it didn't have all the cuts of meat written on it.
For a car that was pretty spectacularly unsuccessful, it's become a legend. It has become the Pink Pig, yeah.
Well, and the Pink Pig nomenclature came from that car, from the factory itself, and they were not being complimentary about it at all.
Oh, they weren't. The Truffle Hunter from Zuffenhausen, as it was known. But then, of course, the colours, the Pink Pig Mark II did go on to win at Le Mans in 2018 and GTE Pro. So I love the great colour schemes on cars. The 901, the Ajith Kumar racing car, the white with the red and the yellow stripes, I just can't get over it. That's a ton of caramel wafer car. They need
caramel wafer, yeah.
Switch the white to a silver, and it's there. It's caramel wafer. Into the pit lane, GT4, one of the surviving BMW M4 GT4s. I think this is the We Buy Any phone car coming in.
AGMC Racing by Simpson Motorsport car, to give it its official title. Out has got Tiger Tari, what a fantastic name, on his belt. In has got the question I've been asking is, has he got tiger feet? That's right, I really love that Tiger Light. He didn't see treading in mud with 2D, so possibly not. And I have to ask him to be lonely this Christmas, just to complete the... So I think, the mud hit, surely you can get a couple in there as well, John.
Surely they'll be spending the rest of the week up at Ras Al Khaimah, because they were on Rack Records. Mike.
Oh, very good.
Chap.
Excellent point.
Mike Chin and Mike Chapman, and what was Dave Chin? Thank you.
Yeah. Dave Chin. So this pink car, which has the home repair network as well as its WeBuyAnyPhone.com. As always, even though I've been here in the pit lane now for several hours, I'm still surprised about how long these pit stops take, because they're doing 5 nuts. So I'm going to go a quick word with Tiger, because basically he's got the best name ever. Tiger, you just got out of the car. How's it going?
Say that again?
I see. Deafened by your own car there. How did this thing go?
It's first time in this car, first time on this track, first time with 24 Series. A lot of first time and 115 minutes practice. Really didn't help a whole lot, but I'm learning.
So your first time on here was in the dark. I mean, how much did you still have to learn when you actually left the pit lane?
I mean, put it this way: once I killed the tires pretty early on, at 25 to 27 laps, I had to learn how to drive with bad tires, and I did get a little nick with my Porsche, typical. Other than that, just learning, adding to my knowledge base, and nothing wrong with that. Continue practicing, and all good. Good racing.
And how are you enjoying the whole Dubai 24-hour experience?
I knew you guys. I actually bought a car in Europe. I was going to do it in 2020 with COVID. No more comments needed. So it was. I have a race season in the USA. This just was a perfect opportunity to do some of the things I want to do eventually in endurance racing, like the Le Mans and the Rolex. I was okay. This is a great step to get out there. Here I am.
And what do you run back in your home country? What do you run in the States?
I have this. In the past, I've ran Lamborghini Super Trofeo. It's a completely different car, but I have the same exact car coming in any day. So I was going to run a Porsche GT4. Bought the car to realize my torso is too high. Had its body age, it's not going to work out. Same issue with the Lamborghini. I was all right. BMW is like a taxi cab, and so I just sticking with that. Obviously, I still fit in the Porsche GT3s and Cups, just not the GT4. So I'm a Porsche guy, but I also have a lot of respect for BMW, amazing cars.
So you've got this GT4. Is your plan to get the Pilot Challenge, or a different event to go for?
It's going to be running USA IMSA. That's what I'm going to be doing.
I'll see you in 2 weeks in Daytona then.
Well, I don't think we're going to be able to make it to VP Challenge. What I'm trying to, if the car comes on time, I'm still hopeful for the Michelin Pilot Challenge, which is the Friday race before Rolex. Worst case scenario, start with the second race, and I'm definitely probably going to come back here next year too. This was definitely a positive so far.
Where's that Tiger? Get yourself a bit of a rest and then look forward.
Thank you.
Look forward to the next session where you know where the track goes.
What was the last question?
Look forward to the next session where you actually know where the track goes.
Yeah, at least I figured out the track and how not to kill the tires, so I should do better this next time.
Thanks, Tiger.
Thank you.
The mention of caramel wafer has sent me down an internet rabbit hole. Grey Dunn was the original manufacturer of caramel wafers, a biscuit and confectionery manufacturer in Glasgow in the late 1800s, I think. And they actually invented Blue Ribat. That's a Scottish biscuit.
Really?
Oh, yes.
I used to have them at my grandmother's house.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and that's why I only got caramel wafers when I went to my grandmother's, although she was born in Ireland. She was brought up in Glasgow, and Grey Dunn was the local biscuit manufacturer there. And they eventually, Nestlé's took that over, and
Underrated biscuit, a Blue Ribbon.
you think so?
Yeah, underrated, very underrated. Good biscuit.
A caramel wafer is very clever. Nick's just said it's massively overrated, the chocolate's too thin. Well, interestingly, of course, a caramel wafer is the Tunnocks caramel wafer now, which, does it still come in a dark chocolate variety as well, in the blue wrapper, the blue and white wrapper?
It does, yeah, as does the tea cake.
Does it? With a bit of jam in the bottom. That's...
Yeah, very good. Very, very good.
I didn't know that.
Bit of penalty news. The 777 Almaner Racing by Team WRT. That's the car that sits in third place, been leading this race on several occasions. It's just picked up a 10-second penalty for not respecting pit stop regulations, which, interestingly enough, the car that they're in a tight battle with, the 92 Pure Racing Porsche, it's got 20 seconds of penalties hanging over it for exactly the same thing, not respecting pit stop regulations. We don't know exactly where the disrespect was committed, but our hard-working pit team, I'm sure, will get to the bottom of it. The gap at the front of the field is coming down all the time, but to the tune of several seconds a lap. Luke Hartog has brought it down to 9.5 seconds the lead, so really running strong. And interesting, I can't remember which of the Pure Racing drivers it was that commented. It might well have been Harry King, who said last night in qualifying, said that the car is really coming alive. This is the Porsche GT3R I'm talking about. Really comes alive in the night. When the temperature gets cooler, the car gets better. Now, you'd think that a turbocharged car, which the Porsche is not, you would think it would be a turbocharged car that would come alive in the night and things it's cooler, but no, it's the Porsche that seems to, in these cooler temperatures, actually get a little bit quicker, and the lap times are getting quicker at the moment. So yeah, just sort of hovering around the 2-minute mark.
Hello to Charlotte Brown on Twitter, doing the socials for Drive Tribe now. Hello, Charlotte. Good to know you're tuned in. She says endurance racing effectively is a long podcast chat with racing for visual entertainment. I'm here for the Tunnocks talk. Dave Alcock. Tea cakes and caramel wafers are available in dark chocolate variants in the blue wrappers. The richness of the dark chocolates work better for both than the milk. See, I do like that as well. Nick Damon down in the pit lane. Mercedes AMG.
Right. Yeah, right underneath your well, our contribution. I'm getting a go, aren't I, later?
Getting a go? It's not as if somebody's handing you.
Well, you're getting a go here. You're getting a go. Well, they are, because you're getting a go down here. I'm handing you the microphone for you to have a go down here if you want to. Anyway, Alpha Racing, Timo Rumpfgel, he has got out the car. I think it was Carsten Till who got in, but don't quote me on that. But it certainly wasn't Chantel Prince and Michael Cross. I can recognise that from a distance. full service. This car's had a quite interesting, after getting very heavily involved instantly in the accident yesterday, which took out the 99 Tempo Audi. Normally, Hoffer are involved in lots of goings on, but they've just quietly turned laps. They're in the pure AM class. They're not troubling the front of the scorers. Where are they in the overall AM class, guys?
The AM class,
Hoffer race number 11.
It's a very hotly contested AM class, actually. The AM leader is also leading the motor race overall by 8.4 seconds over Luke Hartog. So pardon competition, they really have been the standout team. That's Dr. Karsten Tilke, who's just got into that Hoffer Racing Mercedes, former winner of this race back in 2009. And you think Tilke, I've heard that name before. It is indeed. He's the managing director of Tilke Design. His dad, Hermann Tilke, a designer of many, many circuits around the world. But he was a graduate of Munich Technical University, which is the same place that an aerodynamicist called Michael Fadnauer came from, who was the original aerodynamic designer of the Audi A2, which was very far ahead of its time. He was also the aerodynamic designer of the Audi R8,
really clever
R10, and the RS Spider Porsche too.
Very, very clever design, that A2, because the engine was really low down, almost like in a sandwich in the floor. Really, really clever. And they did a tiny little, I think it was 1.5 diesel that did 70 miles to the gallon or something like that, 70 miles to the gallon. A bit of a Marmite car. People either loved it or hated it, and we've got one each in our family, so I can't have one. That's all. I would have one as a runabout. Absolutely.
Our responsible adult isn't a fan of the Audi A2.
And I'd have to get rid of a car or two first, obviously.
Anyway,
the fleet there's always discussion behind off fleet. So yeah, great to see Dr. Karsten Tilke. Doesn't do an enormous amount of racing anymore, but brilliant to see him here with the Hoffer Racing squad. The Kroll and Prince family outing. It's always a family affair with that team. You see all of them moving around in the paddock, and they've been long-standing supporters of this of the 24H series, and hopefully we'll see them throughout the season with their rumbling Mercedes.
Coming down to 15 hours to go, and Nick, did we manage to get any comment from WS, the BMW, about that car? I mean, we saw it being pushed back, and they were having a look at it. Yeah, in terms of the conflagration in that.
Yeah, they were having. The last time I was there, which was a good, well, when it came back in off the flatbed, they were having a good old stare in it. They'd taken it right back out of the garage. It now so it's actually back in the paddock at the back. Now it's back into the garage. So perhaps they're worried about fumes or unpleasant smoke coming from the fire. They're looking at it now. I assume they're assessing the damage to get the order into to BMW Munich in the morning, a Monday morning, for the spares. But they're certainly stripping stuff down, taking off the obviously burnt bits. Well, what would you like to know about
just
it?
If
I can find
out what started it, really, and how bad the damage, the underbody damage is. Sometimes a very spectacular fire, as you pointed out, Nick. If it's all just on the surface and it's fluid burning, it looks spectacular. It goes through the carbon fibre reinforced plastic bonnet, because that melts, and that can catch on fire. And carbon fibre burns very, very hot and very, very black smoke. But actually, it might not have done that much damage. It'll all be down to the wiring, I would expect. Yes, I can.
Can you still hear me? Yeah, it's burnt all the plastic and off the top of the cam covers. For example, I'm looking at the alternator, and the alternator is absolutely untouched.
Right.
That sits really high. It's untouched. It sits really high. It's more to the left-hand side. The right-hand side's got of the V8. The right-hand side plenum is being burnt adjacent. The left-hand side, side's gone completely melted to nothing. But yeah, it's back in its wiring. So if the wiring has plugs which you can get sort of at the back of the firewall, it shouldn't be too much due in sorting it out. It certainly hasn't. In full technical terms, it's not affected any of the uppy downy bits. So, you know, it's I'm not saying it's cheap, but it's not like that. That engine's not going in the bin. The actual, you know, engine bits are fine.
Thank you, Nick. Hello to Elliot Lindemood. He's tuned in from the high desert of California. Sports car racing, morning coffee and great conversation. So 17 minus 8 is 11. So 11 o'clock in the morning, isn't it? 9 o'clock in the morning. Excuse me, Elliot. Thank you for tuning in. And hope you're enjoying it. Quite a lot of people who are on the Creventic Motorsport YouTube channel commenting on the quality of the pictures. Not just what they're showing, but the actual technical quality of the pictures. 60 hertz at 1080p. It is very good quality. 021 long-time partners for the visuals here, working with extra cameras, different positions here, and a couple of automated cameras as well, with the team on site and back at Cologne in their production centre, state-of-the-art production centre. For the audio, of course, that's going back through London. Tim Gray and the team with Rob Lomas on the desk at the moment in the studio. Wherever you're watching or listening, thank you very much for joining us. And a reminder that we're with you next week for a 6-hour sprint race from Yas Marina, Abu Dhabi, qualifying on Saturday, racing on Sunday, and all of the Michelin 24-hour series for 2025 covered live, free, with no blocks or no breaks throughout the season. So all of the European Championship throughout the all the way through to Barcelona. I'll get to Nick in a second, where we can hear a wheel gun not doing what the wheel gun's meant to be, because that's just rattling and not taking the nut off. I can tell that just from the noise. We'll also have the Porsche 992 Endurance Cup race with Creventic and Porsche Motorsport working together at Spa in the early part of September as well. And that was a great inaugural event in 2024. I suspect many more cars and teams and drivers. I was talking to Nick Tandy about that recently when we were sitting waiting for a plane together. I was come back from Petit Le Mans, actually, and he was asking me all sorts of questions. Earl Bamber, similarly, as well. Nick Damon, who's struggling to get the wheel nuts off?
It's the 795 Team CMR Ginetta G56. They are actually the requirement to get the wheel nuts off wasn't particularly great, because they could take the bonnet off without, which they've dived into. This is the car which, of course, had the fire extinguisher go off a few hours ago, then had this problem electrically about 45 minutes ago, and now it's being stared at. I think it also came in dead stick.
They've got the iPhone torch out. They've got the iPhone torch out on the left-hand side.
Well, we do. I'm concerned it actually might be a pocket torch in the shape of an iPhone.
Why would you do that?
It is. I'm afraid it's not actually a phone torch. It's a torch shaped like a phone rather than a phone. It was close enough. If I see the
other guy, the guy who's just taken that, I'm sure he had a phone. No, that's not the one I saw.
I'm not going to argue with the point.
We'll have to get a replay on that.
And they're looking down into the. Yeah, they're looking down the. They're looking down to the electrics as well on the left-hand side bank, and they are obviously I think they've got a misfire or a dead stick electrical problem. Now, look, they may well take off the rail which holds the. Oh, that wasn't very good. He withdrew that spanner very quickly after a spark. So yeah, so it's got that problem. I mean, you've no idea what what sort of damage is done when those extinguishers go off and you clean everything up. And it doesn't, yes, it's not conductive, but it can get into all nooks and crannies and cause other problems. But they've had in contrast to the Touchwood clean run, the 495, the GT4 Ginetta has had. This one's had a lot of problems, and they're again now suffering an electrical problem. They have got an issue where they're getting the wheels off is causing some problems. Now, interestingly, John, I've seen a lot of people using these electrical drills powered by sort of portable electric drills to try and get the wheel nuts off, and they've all been failing. I'm not quite sure why they've moved away from the pneumatic drills, but it does seem that I'm not sure whether there's something about the way that it's running that's tightening the nuts up too much. But I've seen a lot of people struggling to get nuts off these various single centre lock wheels up and down the pit lane today.
We have completed another race hour, and there's now under 15 hours to go as we've just clicked past 10 o'clock in the evening here in Dubai. And it's a very warm welcome in every sense of the word to 2025's motorsport season, circuit racing endurance season, with the traditional season opener being the 20th running of the Michelin 24 Hours of Dubai, kicking off also a 2-race Middle East Cup for the Creventic 24H series, and starting the full season as well, with the European rounds to come later on in the year. And once again, what a fabulous calendar we have for 2025. Just about got there with that. All of the circuits that you have come to know and love in the championship again for this year, starting at Mugello in the middle of March, 21st to the 23rd. Beautiful part of the world. A fabulous circuit for multi-class racing. Then we'll be at the 12 Hours of the Spa-Francorchamps, 18th to the 20th of April. Back to Misano at the Misano World Circuit, Marco Simoncelli on the Adriatic coast, 23rd to the 24th of May. So probably not melting us as it did last year. Back to the south of France and to the Circuit Paul Ricard. That I always enjoy the trip down there. It's a good road trip as well, and a great drive up to the top of the hill for the 12 Hours there, 4th and 5th of July, and we'll finish late in September, 26th to 28th. That's a week later than it was this year. We had the responsible adult's birthday there this year, last year rather, and that is the 26th to 28th of September. And if you want any more details, www.24hseries.com. Live timing, by the way, for this event and all of them this year, livetiming.getraceresults.com. And you can see what we've got in our booth here. Stack of Michelin tyres being brought here, which Charles from Michelin explained to Nick very well at the start of the race. Unique at the moment to this series, and Michelin a huge commitment to this championship. Nick Damon in the pit lane for the moment has just seen the leader go past him.
Yes, the red BMW M4 GT3 EVA. I want to call it an M3. I never like the fact they went the coupe go to M4. I mean, I know it's all about clever nomenclatures, but that's an M3. It should be an M3. It should stay an M3. That's my level of traditionalism. I'm not having that being changed. I'm pretty sure that actually what happened was that Amada hardly stayed on board. And the interesting thing about that is they did change tyres. Now, changing tyres obviously takes, 25, 30 seconds. But they obviously feel there's more than 25 or 30 seconds in the car running on fresh boots. And of course, I don't think there's any issue with finances in this team.
That's about 7/10 a lap, every lap. So you've got to get on with it. If you've got those new tyres, it could just be that they're trying to reduce risk as well, because if you try to double stint them, you get towards the end of the stint and the car's moving around, and it just takes confidence away from the driver. So yeah, looking for new Michelin tyres to give you that big grip. And we heard from Luke Broikers earlier on, who just in the 992 class, he just beamed into a big smile when he was talking about just how much grit the tyres have got, particularly in the first laps.
What did it do to the 777 car, Nick, when that came through with Max Hesse? Did that go into the? That must have gone for fuel, did it? Was
not
that
been in for a while?
Oh, okay. No, that was yeah. Okay, so that did. Right. So Ahmed El Hati, if he did stay aboard, is now in fuel, and it cost exactly 20 seconds to change 4 wheels and Michelin tyres. It was 54 seconds in the pit as opposed to a 34-second transit time. That's not bad.
20, so actually you've got to maybe get a 35-lap stint. So yeah, maybe not even quite 7/10 a lap that you need, roughly speaking. Yeah, could just be also a driver comfort thing as well, because if you go to the point where you're getting to the end of a double stint, you're at nearly 70 laps, and you make an error and then it's all done. So it could be a matter of safety as well as and confidence for the driver. It could be driver dependent as well. Of some drivers might be able to keep the tyre in a little bit longer.
What this will do with the 991 BMW, really, for Paradigm, the AM leader, out of the lead now, has dropped to second, and that will leave the 777 BMW as the only car on the lead lap. We'll have that car into the pit lane within the next 5 or 6 laps for Max Hesse, and then we'll get to see whether they change the tyres. They were new last time down the pit lane for Max Hesse. Will they give it a go and change the tyres and save themselves 20 seconds? That's the question. At this time of night, there were some teams saying doubles or possibly even triples for these Michelin GT Enduro tyres.
I wonder if that's necessary or not, because it seems like when you're on those opening laps, the lap time is there straight away. It's not like when you look at saying like Hypercar or GTP, it takes several laps to get the tyre right up to its performance.
But if we're talking about consistency, Max in traffic last time around did a 2 minutes 0.8 against the car's best of a 1:58 flat.
Nobody's been near that since the start of the race. No one has.
No.
I mean, the best we've seen in the last, certainly since we've been on here in the last 2 hours,
2 minutes laps.
No, it was
1:59?
just 1:59 from Luke Hartog.
Yeah.
But that's on brand new tyres.
Right, let me find somebody who's just put... So Luke Hartog on brand new tyres did a 2:02 last time around. That was his
traffic.
That was his second flying lap. 2:01 from Mikhail Porter for Optimum in the McLaren. 2 minutes flat for Vitaly Petrov in the SMP Racing AMG Mercedes. More 2:01s and 2 minutes. Victor Schuyler for Winwood doing a 2 minutes flat, 2 minutes 0.9 actually. What's the Aston Martin that's catching back up again? That's the EBM car. Munkong Sathin Thirakul behind the wheel of that car. He did a 2:03. He's on 23 lap all tyres. Hesse with a 2 minutes 0.889 to back up his 2 minutes 0.8 whatever it was I said last time around on 30 lap old tyres. That's impressive by that BMW, by Max Hesse, and by the tyre.
And by the new BMW GT.
Indeed so.
Because that's exactly what they're wanting to get out of this car. The one of the drawbacks of the first edition of the M4 GT3 was that it went through tyres quite heavily, and that's what the big development goal behind that car has been, is to get that tyre life better, and it appears like that has been achieved. A 2:01 flat there for Max Hesse. So yeah, he's running very consistent times as well. It's not the up down, it's the consistency that's important.
He's just going through turn 3 now, and right ahead of him is the second place car of Alexander Malikin. He's about to put him 2 laps down here. So in the headlights of the leader, watch out for Pure Racing, the mostly white Porsche, number 92. They're heading onto the back straight now. Just ahead of Alexander Malikin is Vitaly Petrov for SMP Racing in 8th position. Already nearly 3 laps down on the leader. Now, again, the pit stops are not exactly the same in terms of the strategies. Don't worry about how many times they've been down the pit. It's the last time they were in the pits. Alexander Malikin is on his 28th lap, and Max Hesse is on his 31st lap on the sets of tyres that they are racing at the moment. In 3rd, Jake Pedersen for Herberth Racing is on his 24th lap. Behind that, we've got Luke Hartog on just his 4th lap out the pits, and Ahmed El Harti for Paratime BMW on his 2nd lap out of the pit lane. So all of this is important. A track position later on. Remember, with no safety cars to pack up and no wave buys, that's interesting. A little bit of wrap, vinyl wrap on Now that is the Audi, that's RT car, is it? Yes, it is. So that is the Bert Longin number 21 Haas RT Audi in 5th in GT3 and 13th overall. Left rear just fluttering a little bit there, but I don't think it's bodywork. I do think it's just the vinyl covering. Where are the leaders? And more at the point, where is the number 92 car? 92 has now been passed, has it? They are so close together on the circuit. I can't see two numbers, but I think that Alexander Malikin has just lost another lap as they're coming through turn 9 now. I might be able to pick them up going on to the back straight.
Yeah, Max Hesse was just putting in such strong pace. It was a tricky lap there for Alexander Malekin coming through traffic. Likewise for Hesse, actually.
Yeah, he's gone by.
3 seconds in the favour of Hesse. They've just come through sector 1 almost together. So yes, and that is they are on the same strategy because the Malekin's done 29 laps on his tyres, Hesse 32.
We've got on the track at the moment coming to turn 12 the number 7 Vitaly Petrov in 8th position. Behind that, the number 77 Munkong Sathin Therakul for EBM, and the 777 all together 77-7 and 77-7 and 777 all heading to the speedball left-hander at turn 14.
And that is a lap down, so the 777 is now...
Yeah, he's gone through, yes, as I said, yeah.
Exactly, so it's... but it's a long race. Remember, Alexander Malekin is the bronze-graded or AM-graded driver. Max Hesse is he's either a gold or a platinum. He's a pro driver. So the thing is as well, you've got to put in the right drivers at the right time. So Alexander Malekin is doing exactly his job. It's been on the entry list. Max Hesse is listed as a semi-pro, but I think that's an admin error because he's an FIA Gold at least.
Oh, there's a turnaround at the far end of the circuit, and the Haas RT car was hit there. Number 21, and was that the 69 car?
Yeah, Michael Laboda in the Continental Audi getting into the side of the Haas RT machine. Oh dear.
That might be a penalty. They were not battling for position, with Michael Laboda in 20th position, 8th in AM, and the Haas RT Bert Longin 5th in GT AM and 13th overall. Now, here's, this is the conundrum here with drivers of differing ability and speed potential on the track in cars that are very similar in terms of what they can do, and you have to be respectful. We heard this from a number of drivers earlier on, that generally speaking, but there will be times when the AM driver is out there and he's not racing the cars around him, even if it does appear to be for position, because he's racing the guy that got out an hour ago or will get in 2 hours hence. Now that will be looked at, I'm sure, by race control. It was picked up on the live feed here as well, and Bert will be absolutely fuming. That cost him 14 seconds. That half spin at turn 12 on the far side of the track.
It does look, though, that the car they've not lost any pace. They're on the pace, so that means that there's been no...
And the flapping body, the flapping vinyl was there beforehand. We mentioned that.
Yes.
And in fact, that was the other side. He was hit on the right-hand side.
Yes. So it's definitely, there's no problem with the pace, so that's good for Haas RT, a real stalwart of the 24H Series paddock. Yeah, just confirming, Max Hesse, your race leader, he is an FIA Gold, so he cannot be listed as a semi-pro here. I saw that on the entry list, but that's a mistake.
Yeah. Alexander Malekin going through in pure racing and is now a full lap back on the leader. So he's a lap and about where's the 92 gone? He's a lap and 2 corners. The leader has gone through 7. It comes to 8 now, and the second place car, Malekin, is a couple of cars and a corner and a half or so behind. Having said that, the leader's got a lot of traffic ahead of him and has still not got past Vitaly Petrov. That's because Vitaly Petrov did a 2:01.3 last time around. Max Hesse in behind him at 2:02 flat.
Petrov is flying.
Yeah.
He's been really, really quick in this stint in that SMP Racing Mercedes, which is being run by the Haupt Racing team. Yeah, he had a 2 flat a couple of laps ago. So Vitaly Petrov, the
only 12 laps on his tyres. He's relatively early.
Difference. Yeah, that was his 8th lap on the tyre. He set that really quick time. So yeah, former Formula 1 driver, of course, raced for Renault. And who can remember the 2010 season finale where Fernando Alonso in a Ferrari could not get past him?
Well, you could say that Vitaly Petrov was the father of DRS. Because of him and that last race, that's how we got the pass flaps into Formula 1.
I don't know if he'd like that, if he'd like that or not, but it does mean that Fernando Alonso could not get past him. I remember that race in Abu Dhabi vividly. That was Sebastian Vettel's first World Championship win, first of 4 in a row. Good memories.
Are we taking some of your time, Johnny? Or you wearing half past? I've forgotten my own rota. I've been so encrusted. Okay, let's do a change in the commentary box with 14 3/4 hours to go. And welcome back, first of all, to Phil Anson, who joins me to the left-hand side. Just before Johnny takes over from me, Phil, a comment from you, if you would, about what we've seen in terms of the attendance here. Now, obviously, our film stars had a bit to do with that, but there's an awful lot of more locals than I've seen here before. And also about the investment in the track that the property owners have done. I see a lot of new paint. I saw some new bleachers on the infield when I was over there as well. There's been some new concrete laid to make viewing areas over at the outside of turn 14. This place was under threat not so very long ago.
Indeed it was.
Is that threat now has it seceded? Has it disappeared at least?
I think it has dissipated, John. Union Properties and the management here at Dubai Autodrome have been on a mission for the last 3 or 4 years to make the visitor and racer experience much more pleasurable, and they've invested a huge amount of money in this place, especially with the new grandstand at turn 13, and down the end of that you can see right from turn 3 all the way down to turn 10 and get them coming up through the bowl. Lots of investment around the circuit as well, as John said, trying to, we are in the desert. How do you make this beautiful? You put some greenery in there, and then we've got the Apex Garden, which is growing more and more every year, and thank you to Dubai Tourism UAE and Dubai Tourism has done a fantastic job of publicising this event. And it's really showing this weekend, because we've seen a massive crowd here. And Joe Bradley has some news for us from the pitch. Joe?
Yeah, you actually think that we are busy. This is Christian Bermudez. Now, Christian,
yes,
you're not happy just running one car here at the Dubai 24 Hours. How many are you running here?
So, you see, previous years we've been doing this since 2019, okay? So with HRT we find that our collaboration is really good because we have combined the experience from the both teams. And you see, we have something very special now. PRP means Professional Racing Programs. This is when we like to work with drivers, not just to invite them to race. We have find a formula. The formula is, once you have a driver that wants to be in an endurance race, this is called dedication. When you have a driver with dedication and a team that has experience, we can say that we can have discipline. And this is what we need for endurance, discipline. So when we find drivers with this commitment, we like to put it together because discipline makes it happen. So we usually commit now because our formula grows. So this is why we have 4 cars. We like to...
Four cars, everybody, 4 cars.
4 cars.
With 4 drivers in each car.
Yes, 4 drivers in each car.
Wow. So Christian, your job is to be a nanny, a psychologist, a mother, and all of those things in the weekend with 4 drivers per 4 cars.
And I will tell you, endurance is passion. This is a family. I like to invite all the drivers to be on this family. And as a family member, I like to show people the way. I just don't want you to come here and, oh, let's go race, go home. No, let's build the trust. Let's build the discipline and make it happen, because endurance needs that.
So, Christian, tell me, do you find the drivers or the drivers come to you? Because do you go across the road to the kartdrome, for instance, and find the kids in karting and then bring them into the program and into endurance?
At this moment, we have started for 2025 a karting project here in the Middle East. So it's a little bit about things, you know. Once you manage to do things good, we always want to be in the good side, you know? So once we have these drivers that come to us and we can come and share with them, it's a win-win situation. We both come at the same place. We are in this autodrome, which is the home for racing. So there is a little bit of both. Once they come and they bring another drivers, we talk about it, we show them our family, we show them our collaboration, we show them our perfection. And as you see, one of our perfect examples is the QMMF car, which is all the Qatari cars. So they found they bring their dedication to us. With our passion, we found discipline. And with discipline, we have been able to show the results, which have been really good for this year.
As a customer driver, you can make so many mistakes. You can spend a lot of money with the wrong teams. I suppose being a part of your program will help with that. You don't have to make those mistakes. You can place them in the right teams.
Correct. The idea is to learn from our mistakes. So we had made the mistakes, which we already solved everything. That's what our formula combines very good. Drivers come and say, oh, Chris, I had this problem. Okay, let's work it out. Your passion with our dedication will make this mistake a minimum. Of course, everything has a margin of error. But if we both put our brains to it, we can solve it. It's not, oh, my team is the best, or you are the best driver. No, it's let's put our mistakes together so we make a nice and smooth line.
You learn from everyone's mistake. 20th running of the Dubai 24 Hours. How are your 4 cars doing in this event?
At this moment, we are really good. We have occupied the first 3 places. So I think we have a promising race.
You have. The program is working. Well done, Christian. It's great to meet you.
Thank you.
Long may it continue.
And thank you for welcoming us in this big family.
Yeah, long may it continue. And you're right, we are one big family.
We are.
Crazy family, yes. 24-hour racing.
Non-stop. And after this, we're here in Jazz Marina for 6 more hours of full racing.
Exactly. Thank you, Christian.
Yeah, not just happy with 24. They're going to go for the full 30 spread across 2 weekends. I'll be honest, kind of peer behind the curtain, we were invited by Creventic to go and talk to Christian, and Joe was given the instruction to head to their garage, and I'm so glad we were, because we wouldn't have known Christian otherwise to necessarily have a chat to and to know the background, and what a great communicator he is to start with. I'm not surprised that project's going so well, Phil.
Indeed, with 4 cars here and building another team out of the kartdrome behind us, that is really impressive. He's bringing up young talent to put in the HRT family of cars now, the QMMF by HRT, plus the 3 other HRT cars that are running, which have all AM driver lineups, which means they get the AM advantage, 50% more, 50% fuel under code 60. So they've done their driver categorization incredibly well to take advantage of that. And they're quick drivers as well, as we've seen on the leaderboard. So it's still a long way to go, 14 and a half hours yet to go. They can still move up, but with the passion behind the drive between HRT and what they're doing in the Middle East, full credit.
And another name, a team name synonymous with this part of the world, is Dual Racing by Huber this year. Phil Keane now at the wheel of the Mutran car. So Nabil, Ramsey, Sammy, all competing in that Dual Racing car again this year. Theo Overhouse they've invited to be as part of the team, and he'd bring back Phil Keane after he had a year away from their outfit last year, but had been regularly part of their driving squad up until 2023.
Just on the outside of the top 3 in 992 at the moment is the 950 from Dual Racing by Uber. The guys, the Mutrans sat it out last year. They didn't do it, and I did ask them, because they were here at the race last year, and I did ask them why, and they said we didn't get the right package time to get the right package together. We won't do it unless we've got a chance. And this year, with racing with the Christoph Huber stable, and we know how experienced that man is in setting teams up. Winner of the Porsche Super Cup on multiple occasions, so they're in good stead at the moment. Still a long way to go, and they can creep up that leaderboard.
Definitely, it won't take them long at all to remember what they have to do, even though it's been a couple of years.
But they've got so much experience. They've been racing here for many, many years. You don't forget this circuit. No. You're just in a different car and a slightly different setup, new Michelin tyres, and everybody's got used to it, and it's great to have them back. They race in remembrance of their lovely father, who I spent many years chatting with in the paddock, and he's always here with us in spirit.
Almanar Racing by Team WRT continue to lead. Max Hesse now at the wheel of that Belgian run car. 231 laps completed. From Alex Malakin, the defending World Endurance champion for the new LMGT3 category. It was Pure Racing that took that title along with Malakin, and indeed Klaus Bachler, who's here racing but not in that car. He's in the number 24 Dynamic GT lineup, in fact, and he's had a go at leading the race as well. 24 currently in third place with Luke Hartog, and in fourth it's Ahmed Al-Hati for Paradine Competition, the BMW number 991 car. Optimum Motorsport got their McLaren up to fifth, I noticed, with Michael Porter in the number 33. So GT3 non-Pro-Am cars occupy 5 of the 6 places in that top section. Let's get back to Joe with another update from the pit lane.
Yeah, I was just standing there listening to you, Johnny, and I'm standing next to the car number 69. It's the Continental Racing with Simpson Motorsports, an Audi R8 in the GT3 class. I think it's running about 9th or something, I think. It looked like an innocuous run-of-the-mill pit stop, and then just as the car was about to be given the wave on, the mechanics went to work. He told the driver to shut it down. It's 19th, by the way, not 9th. Shut the car down, and the car's gone up on its jacks and being wheeled towards the back of the garage. So I'm not quite sure what they found, but it may have been something that they found on the data or something, but we'll check it out. But from 19th, it's gonna start dropping places by sitting here, not running round on the track.
For sure, that was Mikael Loboda who brought the Audi in. Continental Racing entry, nothing to do with Bentleys, by the way. That's an entirely different outfit.
Yeah, UAE-based team. They've got 2 cars running under the Continental banner. They've got the GT4 Supra running as well, which some of the drivers who have moved up into this Audi. He's been running that Audi at our local meetings as well to get a handle on it. He did a couple of races in Europe. The team did a couple of races in Europe. As if you're watching on the live stream, you can see the guys going to work on that front left corner of the Audi R8, and just trying to sort things out there. But Continental came in. They won the GT4 category last year here at the 24 hour. So they've got some credibility, and it's a shame to see them having to work around the front of that car. We've still got 14.5 hours to go. They've got time to get back on.
Yeah, let's hope that they can get a fix of some description so that they can get as much running in as possible. Now, the other car is aligned with, is it TTR?
TTR,
Racing?
yeah, Track Time Racing, local team based here. They run in the Radical Championship. They run some Clios as well in the Clio Cup. Run Hill Taniju is run by TTR, which is Track Time Racing.
Okay.
and they are very successful. They won the Radical World Championship a couple of last year at Yas Marina Circuit, the first time it's been held down there.
Nice.
And one of their drivers, Alim Geshev, who's racing here this weekend, won the trophy. They've got the #1 trophy there from a locally based team running about 6 radicals. So well done to Craig Thompson, the head honcho at TTR, for putting the teams together. And they've got a much more amateur driver lineup in the GT4 this year, getting some drivers up to speed.
So Joe's been to visit the car at least, and you've got a driver to shed a bit more light on the situation.
I've got the driver, Mikhail Laborda, who brought the car in. Mikhail, everything looked fine, and then all of a sudden, it wasn't fine.
The pace was fine. I get 2.0, 2.01. It's a really good pace. But one moment I have contact with other Audi, with pro driver. He closed the door and spoon after me. But it's little bit touch. I think it's not reason. We have a problem with radiator now. I think something from other cars go to our radiator and we have some problem.
Right. I mean, you guys were having a good run. You're in 19th. That's a pretty good effort considering how many cars. There's 33 cars in the class. You guys were right in the middle field there, and that's a shame. That's going to put you back. What does that make you think as a driver to push back?
I don't understand.
All right, you're going to have to push now that you're dropping time.
Yeah, we have to push to, I don't know, we're fighting then after rebuild the car.
Okay, Mikhail, that was great interview. Your English is fine, sir. That is fine, thank you. Bad luck on the 69, of course. So it was a radiator problem, nothing to do with the impact that he was described to me earlier.
Yeah, easy to pick something like that up. There's a bit of debris here and there. That's the nature of a 24-hour race. You get just natural debris because we're racing in the outdoors after all, but also the accumulation of maybe tyre pickup or a little bit dropping off a car here and there. The marshals can deal with larger pieces of debris, but in this darkness, if no one's reporting anything, no reason to throw a code 60, and it's very easy to puncture a radiator or indeed a tyre just through bad luck. The Labodas, there's a Yuri Laboda as well, who's Mikhail's brother, not competing this weekend in this race, but comes from a good racing stock. And let's hope he and the rest of his driving crew can get back out again. That looked to be a very late call for Max Hesse in the Almanar Racing by Team WRT BMW, but the race leader, I don't think I was misreading that, treble 7. It's the right BMW, isn't it? I can't tell now because it's just a blaze of headlights.
Yes, he is in the pits. 42 laps on those Michelin tyres.
And the first job is to call by the penalty box.
10-second penalty to be served, and that'll clear the penalty list up from the Almanar racing team.
And it is a team member from Almanar Racing who's had to go down there and count that through, I think. Or is it one of the race officials that stands by your car and counts you down?
Well, I've seen both happen. Okay. I've seen people down there with the stopwatch on, and I've seen the official just do it all by himself.
It's one less thing for the team to worry about. Obviously, they've got to get the radio message across to Max to say, do not miss the penalty box, because you get, did you say it was 2 hours to serve from
2 hours to serve the penalty,
from the penalty being issued? Yeah. Which is very reasonable, to be honest. I mean, there are perhaps other championships around the world that might be able to learn from that. It's also, it's deliberately meant to be a penalty that can be served during a normal pit stop. There are some penalties elsewhere in motor racing that are exclusively just that, a stop-go penalty, for instance, and it's meant to be quite draconian, whereas here, if it's been a minor infraction, why not do it whilst you're servicing the car, should I say.
Work going on the Lamborghini, the 710 running in the GTX, currently leading that. Gerhard Wurtzinger was at the wheel before that came into the pits. It looked like that's had a bit of contact, a bit of million-mile-an-hour tape going on the front left of that beautiful-looking Lamborghini. So thanks, Joe. He has stayed in the car, so it looks like he's going to double stint that, as they're really trying hard to get that bonnet clip down. So a little bit of work going there on the pointy nose. bit more tape will go on.
So Gerhard Watzinger, the very German-sounding American, he's driving with compatriot Don Yount, and then JJ Song, who we commented a little earlier on being at the wheel of the 710 Lightbit Motorsport Lamborghini. That was still in daylight hours when he was leading the GTX division, and they are still there. Very difficult for the other GTX runners to unsettle that Lamborghini, despite the running repairs that have to take place.
Well, they got 6 laps over the IRC GT at the moment, so they can take their time, do this properly, so that nothing falls off. As that million-mile-an-hour tape continues to be plastered over the front and taking away that beautiful paint job on the... Yeah, exactly, Joe, you're going to have a chat to them about that.
Very disappointing, and they haven't really sort of made it blend in with the car livery as well. Where's Brendan? Brendan! Let's have a word. I've got to say, we're disappointed there was no blue tape. We're very disappointed there's no blue tape. Black on blue. That great job, effective job, but aesthetically very poor. I've got to say, I'm going to have to mark you down there for life.
Yeah, there's minus 10 points or a drive-through penalty, right? No blue duct tape.
I'll go and have a word now. No blue duct tape. You've got a blue card, no blue duct tape. Do you have any idea what that damage was caused to the body clips?
Yeah, I think Gerhard had a contact with the car, maybe, late in the night. Just one of those things. So busy out there and really tricky in the dark. I think the headlights on the cars are so bright, so it's very tricky to get a perception of the depth and how close the cars are. And I think he just made a mistake. So just one of those things.
Are you supposed to be lying down in a dark room, seeing as you're not in the car, instead of strutting around in your shorts and t-shirt?
No, I just did a double stint. Got a wee back rub, and I'm about to put my suit back on for another double. So.
So when are you due in? About an hour or something?
50 minutes I'll be in the car, so in 2 hours, and then I can have a sleep after this.
That's why you feel wide awake.
Yeah, that's it. I just had a cappuccino. So
have a word with Lightbit about that blue tape, will you? I mean, it's gonna kick off on YouTube, I can tell you, Brendan.
He's pretty handy as Brendan in a Lamborghini. I'd forgotten temporarily that he was the European Lamborghini Super Trofeo champion in 2023. And there was some really great drivers.
And he won the Lamborghini Super Trofeo World Final in Pro-Am in 24.
Oh, wow.
So he is very experienced in steering a Lamborghini.
Indeed.
Yeah, and going in to do another double stint, capitalise on that lead that they already have.
I mean, Lamborghini Super Trofeo racing meant to be sprint variety, and quite clearly is. You know, you cannot afford to think about strategy. There's no space for it. Whereas here, a bit of recalibration of the brain is necessary. He's still going to be hard at it, though, for a couple of stints, and it doesn't really matter what time it says on the clock. Here in Dubai, if you're elsewhere around the world, it's coming up to 20 to 11 in the evening. We've been dark from... What time was sunset? I didn't take note of that.
Between 5:30 and 6, around that time.
Okay.
And it was pitch black at 6:30.
Yeah, well, it happens so quickly, as you've already made the point. The sun just drops away from the skyline and disappears for 13 hours or so. Not going to see that again till 6 minutes past 7 tomorrow morning. And that ties in quite nicely, we were saying earlier on, with 6 hours to go in the race. And psychologically, that's a massive step.
It's the third stanza of this race. You have the afternoon stanza, you have the night stanza, and then you have the run to the flag stanza in daylight. And that's when everybody gets that second wind and ready to go again. And it's a long way away, as Brendan just said, but he's going to get back in for another double stint. Wow.
But at this stage, you're just thinking bit by bit, aren't you? You're just, you know, if you're about to get in ahead of a double stint, then that's manageable. 2 hours, you know, it's a long time, and the body's going to take some punishment. But you can think, well, I can get through that, and then I hand over to my co-driver, and they might do another 2 hours, and just walk your way slowly and surely through the race.
I think it's the same with the team managers. They reset at when the sun comes up, and they look, okay, what have we got to do to get places now?
Yeah.
Where are we at? What can we do in the remaining time, the remaining 7 hours? because that is a long time in a motor race. Lots can happen in that. Just picking up that Loic Hartog in the dynamic Porsche has got back into the lead, 39 seconds ahead of Ahmed Al Arthi in the Paradigm competition car, who's 59 seconds about in front of Alfazel Al Zabar in the team Almanar Racing. So it's still tight at the top, and we've seen this for ever since we started this race. These top 6 or 7 teams have just been swapping positions. It's a couple of Porsches at the top, it's a couple of BMWs, but as you said, there was the McLaren from Optimum Motorsport is slowly creeping his way back into real good contention at the moment. Harry King just on an outlap from a pit stop in the Pure Racing Porsche, and currently running 5th in GT3. He's a couple of laps down on the leader at this stage, but I'm just looking at Loic Hartog. He's doing 2:07s, right? Seriously, he's got 19-lap-old Michelins underneath him, and the next driver behind him is doing 2:03s. But once again, we have to take that into account, that they will deal with traffic at different times.
And isn't it terrific for the official name Sultanate of Oman to have 2 of their drivers in the top 3 of the Dubai 24 Hours this far into it? We know all about Ahmed Al Arthi for Paradigm competition, but then in the other BMW, the Almanar Racing by Team WRT car, as you said, Al-Faisal Al-Subaya has just taken that car over from Max Hesse, and the Omani flags looking resplendent on my timing screen in those 2 positions in behind Dutchman Loic Hartog. And the BMWs really benefiting, it would seem, from this evolution pack. The first time we've seen it in proper action, but those BMWs are very neatly placed. One in the AM category, one in the Pro category within GT3, and looking strong. 3 cars remain on the lead lap.
Well, I'm just looking at what happened yesterday with the change in balance of performance with the Porsches, the GT3Rs. They got hit with a 20-kilo ballast for today's race, on top of their 30 kilos that they already carrying for bringing a GT3 car. So obviously they look really quick in the in qualifying, and they've been brought back to the field, but dynamic with Loic Hartog at the wheel is still lapping in 2:01s, two flats on 20-lap-old tyres. So he's getting a very good run in this car. But we had probably 15-20 minutes ago when John was on, there was a whole heap of Porsches. There was at least six Porsches in the top 10. And so as it changes around, as the strategies unfold, they're just swapping backwards and forwards. And this has been a continuous thing since we started, Johnny.
The other thing is, for Mercedes fans, it's starting to look a little brighter. There are 3 now in the top 10. The highest position one is in 5th spot for SMP Racing and Vitaly Petrov. However, now a drama right after turn 16 for the Neutron Porsche. It's Nabil who took over from Phil Keane in the last pit stop, and a spin for the 950. Now, we've had a very nasty spin and crash for a Porsche Cup car really early on in the race. Thankfully for Nabil, he kept it out of the wall there and is able to continue on without a scrape on the car.
I think he must have lost that around midway around the corner, and he's just turned it tighter to get into that gap before the Armco starts. And he's just backed it in there nicely. That's track experience.
Yeah,
that's track experience
entirely. They might have been away for a year, but they know all about when it does go wrong, how then to deal with it and try and not make it worse. So
well, he's got his brothers to deal with if he does something really bad.
They'll be waiting on the front of the carriage.
Don't want to get involved in that family argument.
Yeah. Fist in palm, rather, just ready to go. What have you done? But no, I think they'll be okay with that, because it could have been a lot worse.
Oh, most definitely. I've seen quite a few cars. I was standing outside and we had one of the other Porsches spin there earlier on, but ended up in the middle of the circuit sideways, and really difficult because cars coming down to 16, they fly around there in the GT3 category. And yeah, it's not a nice place to be as the 24 goes a little bit off track there, getting around some back markers down through the middle and just scything through the back markers now, making it look absolutely effortless.
doesn't matter how many times we witness that, you still cannot do anything but to kind of breathe in for a moment and make sure that the car, especially when it's the leading car, get through safely. And again, there's a bit of slow-moving traffic here that Luke's going to have to deal with patience. And whilst we enjoy the continued action at this year's Dubai 24 Hours with Michelin, we can hear from Joe again.
It feels like just a few moments ago that you guys were describing the Haas RT Audi getting involved in an incident. This is the driver, Bert Longin. Bert, you had an incident out on track that I think we saw on our cameras. Tell us about it.
Yeah, the only pity that it was also an Audi. So that I don't like, you know. We are Audi drivers, so we don't have to push. I was on 1 hour 50 in the car, and the tires were dead, so of course I was slower. But anyway, he had to wait when it was open, and I would let him pass. But I will speak with him.
So you know who it is?
Yes, yes.
I've actually just interviewed him. I didn't know there was a connection, but you've just rang a bell. So
I asked the engineer who it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chris is a very astute man.
Yeah.
Yes.
But anyway, also that's racing, I understand, but it's not necessary. It's 24 hours, so.
Yeah, I know those on-track incidents. Other than that, the Haas RT, it's going round and round, still early, still lots of hours to go.
Yeah, I think we are doing a good job. The team is doing a good job. As James and Alex are really habitués here in Dubai. And Peter and myself, it was 2 or 3 years ago that we drove here. So, like now in the night, the lap times were good, but even so, I have to improve still a little bit, but it was not a bad stint.
We mentioned Chris de Donker is the team manager in there. Is he the one? I mean, Chris, I'm familiar with Chris on the pit wall, engineering in your ears, but Chris is he still influencing how you guys engineer the cars on track?
Yes, like we have a Chris and we have a Christian.
Yeah, I've worked with Christian as well.
Yes. Yeah. So, but anyway, it's a team that don't give you stress, so you can really think about how to do it all the time, and not to stress you up and make stupid mistakes. So, it's the first time with this team. It's the first time in many years in the GT3. But I have to tell you, it's a strong team. They do a very good job.
Well, you're doing a really strong job. I expect to see you there, Bert, at the end of the race. Okay. Good luck. Good luck for the rest of it. Fingers crossed.
Bert Longin and the Peter he talked about. It's a surname I always struggle with. I think it's Peter Gulinks, both Belgians. And Alexander Bukatsov's part of that lineup as well, but he's an ultimate pro, is Bert Longin. James Winslow we heard from chatting to Joe earlier as well, so it's difficult really to see a weak link in that AM driver lineup. And the Haas RT guys are lovely people too.
Well, Peter was successful in this championship last year in the European legs of that, second in Spa, but running in the 992 category, not in GT3. So as he said, they've all taken a little bit of a step up in the Haas RT Audi, and currently running 6 in the AM category of GT3. Long way to go.
And also, Bert keen to stress that because there's so far to go, there's no need for unnecessary contact. I mean, it was nobody's choice, I'm sure, to have a touch at that point. It's either a misunderstanding or you didn't spot the car was there, but nevertheless, you needed to be paying a bit more attention, I think is Bert's opinion, and we can all understand that.
And he's going to have a sensible chat.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing about it is, look, we're both Audi drivers. We've got Team Audi support here. The big transporter is down there just outside the Parc Ferme area, supporting the Audis here this weekend. For Audi customer racing here, and they'll be down at Yas again next weekend. So a lot of support for that team, and we will probably see that they're trying to also help out one of the cars that didn't make it to the grid, who they're trying to rebuild for next weekend.
Yeah, exactly. And that's not a nice situation either, but we wish everyone there at Temto well in sorting that car, whether it be a replacement or a rebuild for the 6 hours of Abu Dhabi at Yas Marina this time next week.
Yes. And we'll be qualifying on Saturday, racing on Sunday. We've got the Clio Cups back with us again, supporting F4. F4 Middle East now will be running down there as well as the round of the Radical Championship in Middle East.
An idea at the end of the long straight about the speed differential between a couple of Cup cars and then a TCE Cupra, I think that was. None of those cars were in the braking area, but that is just an illustration of how fast these Cup cars go down the straights, at times faster than a GT3 car, because they don't have the same aero that a GT3 requires to be quicker through the corners. But then when you're two abreast in the Cup division, you've got to be so wary of anybody else that's trying to get down the back straight. And there was a touring car basically trying to do that. So briefly three abreast, and everyone some good heads-up driving there.
The situational awareness in the nighttime racing is extreme for these drivers. There's no two ways about it. You really can't see how quick that car is coming up behind you.
Yeah.
You only have the lights. And there's no blue flags or anything like that in the nighttime. You can't see them. And so you just have to make a judgment of how quick are they coming up. And especially if you're looking forward and having a battle going forward and somebody's coming up quick behind you, the closing speed between a touring car and especially a Cup car down there, you know, touring car is probably doing 200 kilometres an hour. The Cup car is doing 260.
Yep.
And the Cup car will need to get on the brakes earlier than the touring car because they don't have the downforce to manage a high corner speed. And so then you get that braking differential where the touring car is still in front under braking. And it's just when do they release or push a little bit harder or run a little bit wider. And and they will hold the racing line, as is done said in the sporting regulations and at the driver's briefing, and it's up to the car that's passing to find their way through. As we click over 242 laps with just over 14 hours remaining in this, the 20th running of the Michelin 24 Hours of Dubai. Like Hartog is still whacking in those quick laps. Him and Al-Faisal Al-Zabar are quick. Harry King in that pure racing car, he's just done a 2-minute 0.8. So the pace is still electric out there. Remember, I think we were 57.711 on lap 4 to break the all-time lap record in a race. But by then, everybody else we've all dropped back into the 2-minute barrier in the GT3s, which what that's doing is they're making sure their tyres last. But the 992s now are doing the same sort of things, and they're around in the head of the 992s. They're in the 206s. Okay, so what I'm seeing this year, rather than say last year, the 992s had Cup cars had a much more advantage running in the straight line, but the performance of the GT3 cars has now grown to such a point that if a 992 Cup car has a full tank of fuel and you have, say, a third of tank of fuel, you will be quicker. You'll get more drive out of the corners. So, and it also depends on the caliber of driver that you've got behind the wheel at the time.
The other thing I had to quickly look up, because I always forget, is whether the Porsche Cup cars we were talking about, 992, have ABS. They do not.
No.
Whereas in some Carrera Cup championships, the AM part of the championship, for example, might allow ABS and not in Pro. Well, across the board, that was certainly the case last year anyway, and I don't believe that's changed in the technical regulations. So once more, finesse is the order of the day. And those that might have come from an AM 992 Cup car, that's quite a quick learning process or a learning curve to get your head around at a track which is fairly punishing on brakes.
The Porsche is not an easy car to drive.
Full stop.
Full stop. I've done laps around here in a Cup car. I came in after 3 laps. I just can't deal with the rear end of it. Because I come from front wheel drive. I race front wheel drive cars and radicals, and it just felt so wrong.
Yeah.
But the guys who are specialists at it can really, really make these cars, and John will disagree with me on this, but they can really make those cars work.
Yeah.
And you have to, it's a different style of driving completely to any other car that is out there, any of the 992 or the 992 GT3s. They are a real specialist driver's car, when you get the best out of them, it is so rewarding.
Yes, I'm sure.
Absolutely so rewarding. Talk to a lot of the drivers who race here in the Carrera Cup Middle East, and it's the same thing. You know, you get a lap right in one of those cars, you've really extracted the most out of yourself.
Yeah.
They're a specialist breed. I am a Porsche owner, but mine's got a V8 in the front.
So you know where you are with that.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, from the background that you do, but you either come up through the Porsche Junior categories,
yes,
and therefore it's almost second nature, or there are just some drivers who can do front engine, rear engine, front wheel drive, rear wheel drive. They can just get in a Porsche, and it might take them a couple of laps, might take them a full day, but then afterwards they've just become expert, and they're sort of otherworldly. I can't work out how they do it.
It's just the dynamic of driving that car. I came up here around turn 15, and there was a slower car in front of me, and mistakenly I lifted too much, and the back end came around on me. And I went straight into the pit lane. I'm not planting that into Porsche 3 at turn 4. It's just, you know, don't lift in those cars. And it's the same. It was very much the same in the Clio Cup car with the cold rear tyres. You know, if you get the back end of that car out, just plant your foot down harder, you know, and drive out of it. So yeah, it's very.
Yeah, so every credit to those that have been racing Porsches for a few years now. Luke Hartog, early on in his racing career, but he's already become an expert. Joe's drawing my attention to one of the Ginettas, which has ended up in the garage. I don't think we were aware that that car had been parked for a little while. Oh, Nick exposed it, did he, initially? Right, so yes, Joe, we have had news of that.
All right, well, it's